My name is Garima Shah. I'm the president at Biller Genie. Biller Genie solved the problem of outstanding accounts receivable. Just in the past year, before the Corona crisis, in the United States, we had $3 trillion of an amount that was outstanding, which unpaid invoices for past 30 days, past 60 days. And that really hurts small business owners because most of them only have 27 to 28 days worth of cash flow. So not having access to those funds for services and products that they've already provided is very, very difficult. And then due to this current crisis that we're in, we received from Payments Magazine earlier this week that business owners only have 7 to 8 days worth of cash on hand. So not being able to collect on outstanding receivables and having so many overdue amounts is really hitting Main Street USA, and that's the problem that we're solving. So not to be naive, but there haven't really been a lot of solutions for accounts receivable specifically. You know, there's a lot of companies like accounting softwares that we work with, like from QuickBooks to Sage to everybody else, who allows you to create an invoice or has a full accounting system. And then there's a lot of payment processors who we all love, and I've been in the payment space for so long and have such an affinity for all of the payment providers out there who have invoice solutions as well. But bridging that gap between companies that are agnostic on the accounting software side as well as agnostic on the payment side, so really any business can use them to not just send an invoice through their accounting system, but then send out reminders that are custom, and then also collect those payments through the payment providers that they're already using via credit, debit, ACH, Apple Pay, and then reconcile all of that information back into their accounting system without the business owner having to do anything, or without having to do the manual process of 10 to 15 hours a week to get all of those things out, is what we do. And we really haven't found a competitor that does the same thing. Our target audience is really anybody who sends out an invoice. So basically, it's anybody who's not restaurant, retail, hospitality, or e-commerce. If you think about any other business, whether it be doctors, lawyers, accountants, B2B, distribution, manufacturing, advertising companies, all of those people send out invoices. And so the way that we have been targeting those types of businesses is direct. So we work with, we just had a publication in the Commercial Printing Magazine last week that came out. So we write a lot of articles and contributing articles for specific industries. We also do a lot in the one-to-many ratio. So we're working with a lot of payment providers, financial institutions, CPAs, bookkeepers, software technology firms who are also dealing with those same clients, and we share that, and we work on how to build a symbiotic relationship with them to help reduce their attrition, to help increase their margin, as well as making sure that that end user, that subscriber, is taken care of. So my partner, Tom Aronica, who's our CEO, he came up with this idea, and really he came out of it out of necessity. And we always say that the best inventions come from necessity, but he has been in the payment space for over a decade, and he had an ISO, but his ISO was a little bit different in the sense that the majority of his clients were B2B, were medical, and they were looking for a solution to use their current accounting softwares with his payments program. So originally, Biller Genie started as just a thought. It was just built to help solve that problem, and it was really supposed to be an acquisition tool for merchant services. So hey, come sign up with our ISO, but we'll also give you Biller Genie because you're this type of client. Since then, we've decoupled merchant services and payment processing completely. When we realized that Biller Genie was a standalone product and that so many businesses really needed this solution, but they didn't necessarily need us for payments because they already had that covered, that's when we really changed Biller Genie's model, and that was only in January of this year. So it's been a few months, and we're ramping up very, very quickly, and that's where the idea came from, but it's evolving every day, and it's changed quite a bit since when it started. We had a Native American reservation, and if you can kind of think about trailer parks where you go and you plug in and get electricity, so it's $8 per day for getting that electricity. So This guy called us and he had $800,000 worth of outstanding invoices at $8 tickets. So it's 100,000 invoices that were outstanding well over 6 months. And his issue was, I don't even know where to start here. Do I call them? Do I email them? How much time is this going to take? What do I do? So we plugged in Biller Genie for him, and within 48 hours, he'd collected 50% of that outstanding $800,000. And by the end of the month, he'd collected 80% of that outstanding $800,000. Because at the end of the day, what we have found is that it's not that customers don't want to pay their bills. It's just that we're making it too hard. You know, if you look at everything that we do, and we're in this digital age, everything we do is on our phone or on our laptops, and it's quick and there's instant gratification, except for when you get a bill. You get a bill in the mail, you have to open it, you get the tear sheet, you have to look at what the amount was and is that correct? And oh, you know what, let me go check my records and go find a checkbook, put a stamp on it, get it back to the post office. And that there's a lot of friction there. And it's interesting, before I joined Biller Genie, I didn't realize this, but 90% of all invoices in the world right now are still processed completely manually. And that's just insane. In such a digital world that we're in, to have a process like that that is so manual just seems broken, and that's what we fix. For me personally, I would say my biggest accomplishment in 2019 would be joining the Biller Genie team. So Tom and I have known each other for many, many, many years. Actually, it's a funny story. I know Tom because back in 2013, I was on the other side of a transaction from him. So I was the buyer of his portfolio. And then we did a similar transaction like that again in 2018. We always say we started as frenemies and then became very close friends. So I think that for me, really listening to him for the first time is not just a friend, but really understanding the solution that he'd built and what he was trying to do with it, and figuring out how my expertise could help with that would be one of my biggest accomplishments, because I started at Biller Genie right at the beginning of 2020, and it's been very exciting. Biggest challenge right now is, I think, the same biggest challenge that everybody's having with COVID-19, not having some of the trade shows and some of the conferences that we expected. So really being able to get face-to-face with our customers and our partners and work with them has been challenging. And I think we're overcoming it just like everybody else with virtual meetings and every kind of check-in that we can possibly have. And that's actually been easier than I think we all expected. So we're really excited about that. You know, some of the challenges that we have just as a startup are prioritization. You know, there's so many ideas, there's so many things that we're building, there's so many things that we're in development for. We're a software company, and we've got, you know, have hundreds and hundreds of things on our list that we want to make sure that our system does, and making sure that we prioritize that effectively. And we've come up with a really good process to prioritize our roadmap and ensure that we are doing the right thing for our clients. And so that's really how we overcame it, is just by organizing it and by having a bigger focus group and listening to our clients and our partners. I personally look up to someone named Payal Kakadia, who's actually the owner of ClassPass, and she started ClassPass. And I would say the reason why I look up to her is because she built this entire fitness/payments FinTech company, and it's a unicorn now, out of nothing. I mean, it was truly nothing, and it was out of her need for wanting to try different fitness routines. And that became one of the largest FinTechs that became a unicorn this year. So it's a very, very exciting story. And if you don't know about her, I would definitely look up ClassPass and see all the wonderful things that they've done. A key trend for our industry is change. And I think that that's been a trend in our industry for as long as I've been in our industry, which has been since 2005. So it's been 15 years, and it's always changing. And I think that anytime people get stable or believe that they're in a place where they don't need to change or grow anymore, it's a challenge, especially in our industry. I mean, if you look at how quickly we went from having the first plastic credit card in the 80s to now look at the proliferation of credit card acceptance or ACH or just electronic payments in general, and how those things are handled. And the companies who are the incumbents and the competitors right now versus who they were even 2 years ago, because of all the mergers, acquisitions, bankruptcies, everything else that has happened, is so important to keep at the forefront of everybody's mind. Because I think when I have really seen a FinTech company do great, it's because they embrace that they change, and they change with the world, as opposed to saying, this is how I do it, this is how I've always done it, and I don't plan on going anywhere with it.